How are you?
Morning, lads. How are you?
Um, so we put Irish women's rugby in the amber a little bit earlier on. There was a record crowd and they played well for 70 minutes, but surely we can't be giving any moral victories to the team just yet. Or maybe you can, because it's a new broom and it's a new team and it's actually going to take them quite a while to get to the stage where we should be expecting them to win. What's the right way here?
Somewhere in between. I don't think they'll want any moral victories. I think a lot of the where we were positioned after the game, a lot of the girls were over there talking to their parents and friends and family at the far side of the field, and they were devastated. I was kind of taken back about how disappointed they were. I'm sure they were very excited going into the game, new era. There was a lot of optimism, Ger, about the team. And, Joe was even asking us before the game about, Ireland beat this team and 45-0 last year. Do you expect the same to happen? Do you think we're way ahead? And it's very hard to judge this because you just don't know where the teams are at the moment. A lot of them are, it's hard to analyse them and see where they're actually at. The big difference, and I think a lot of people realise this now, is that Wales had 12 full-time players and another 12 or 13 who were part-time, given part-time contracts. So if they got to 25 people training pretty regularly as their job since January, whereas the Ireland girls were probably in camp three or four times in the last number of weeks for 2-3 days at a time. So it's hard to kind of get up to that same level of speed. And it's not a level playing field, the Six Nations. France and England are miles ahead with regard conditioning, strength, player numbers, all that kind of stuff. So we have to be patient here, Joe. We can't expect this to happen overnight. There's a lot of changes in the report, and they've been agreed by the IRFU, and a lot more support to the women's game. So that's good, but it will take a little bit of time. I tell you, I was really encouraged by the way they played, the type of game, the execution, the skills. I was surprisingly a really good game from both sides, and unfortunately, they just lacked a bit of power. They lacked a little bit of physicality, and that kind of told in the end because they got really tired. But some brilliant handling, execution, passes, all that kind of stuff. What are their issues? Of course, discipline, 15 penalties, possession, 38% possession. Very difficult to win a game with those kind of stats. So they were under a lot of pressure, and I think they deserve a lot of credit for the way they played and the ambition they showed. But sometimes you get beaten by a better team and a more powerful team. And we've been speaking about it with the men over the last number of years when they played England. Sometimes when they came up short in the physicality, Wales had a big impact off the bench, and they were very, very physical, and that told in the end.
Okay. We'll obviously get an opportunity to preview the France game closer to the time, and we'll have our Vodafone Six Nations show during the week as well to get into a bit more details about it. I want to just talk a little bit about the URC games and the situation Connacht find themselves in. It had been 3 weeks since Connacht's last game, which was a bit of a kick-in from Edinburgh, and then they have a man sent off really early against Leinster, and they get a bit of a kick-in again. So it's back-to-back massive disappointments for them, and it's getting squeaky bum time towards the end of the season. It's unfortunately, it looks like it could be a lost year for them.
It's a very difficult situation now for them, Ger. I think they've lost crucial games and particularly the Edinburgh one and this Leinster one. That'll kind of hurt and sting the most, I think. Let's be honest here. Leinster are missing a huge number of players. They're internationals. The sending off pretty significant, I think. And to be fair to Connacht on Saturday night, they showed a credible fight and guts, and to go ahead when Tiernan O'Halloran scores a try. But the second half, Leinster then just showed their class and execution and their passing skills and tore Connacht apart. The big problem for Connacht is, they're 10th in the table. They've lost 7 games in the league, and they go away to Benetton next weekend. They'll have their internationals back. It's much more difficult when they're fully stacked with their internationals, and they're a tough side to play against, particularly over there, Benetton. And then Connacht go to South Africa and play the Lions and the Sharks. So we've seen how difficult it is for teams to go to South Africa and get results. So it's a very difficult situation. And then the last game, they have 4 games to try and get themselves up the table. They're on 28 points, sitting in 10th. So not alone is there a major concern that they won't get into the playoffs here, which are the top 8. They won't be in Europe next year unless they get some results out of there. I think they've at least to win three games there, possibly win the 4 of them to get there. Now, the type of game they play and the way Connacht are so ambitious with the ball, they could go to South Africa and get 2 results. Who knows? It's very, very difficult there. They play the Lions in Johannesburg, and the Sharks in Durban. So it's a tough situation for them. And I think the sending off of Tom Daly the other night after 2 minutes, against a side like Leinster,
eventually
made it really, really difficult.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, eventually told. So it is a situation where it's they could end up with nothing and not be in the playoffs or be in Europe next year.
Okay. The run of form that Ulster were on at the moment was sensational, and it looked like they'd scored a last minute try to beat the Stormers, and then it got chalked off. Right decision, wrong decision? Dan McFarlane wasn't happy either way. What did you make of this?
Wrong decision. I think Ulster, probably the middle part of the second half, you think the Stormers are in control here. They looked like they were going to win the game and see it out and kick on, but Ulster's response was phenomenal, and they kept playing right to the end, and they really, really troubled the Stormers and got right back into the game. And Callum Reid, with 2 minutes to go, looks like he scores a try right on the line. Ulster run back. That's the game. You think they've won it. Brilliant result away from home in South Africa. TMO goes and calls him for a look, and the referee, Gianluca Necci, the Italian referee. And the problem here, and I was kind of flabbergasted by this, Jerry, is that the TMO is a South African. And if you're sending teams of referees down there, send another one, a TMO, because as Callum Reid is touching the ball down, the Stormers player dives in to try and prevent a try, dislodges the ball slightly out of Callum Reid's hands. It goes backwards. His body comes down on the ball, and I think it's a try. Dan McFarlane was fuming after the match. So the TMO calls the referee. They have a conversation about it and a debate. And I still think, watching it over and over again, that it's a try. And then Alan O'Connor, who probably was pushing his luck a little bit the way he was debating with the referee, the Ulster captain, was debating the point that he then awarded a try to the Stormers for Callum Reid knocking it on when he clearly didn't. The ball went backwards. So I think at worst, Ulster should have had the 5 metre scrum. In turn, he awarded the Stormers a 5 metre scrum. They were able to clear their lines and win the game. So I think they were stolen at the end, and I think it was a wrong decision. And I think the TMO and the referee got it terribly wrong. They gave about 2 minutes debating this decision. They made a decision to give Stormers a scrum. Then they went back watching the footage again. The ball is dislodged from Callum Reid's hands. It goes backwards. His body, and remember, from your hips up, any part of your body that touches the ball over the try line, it's try given. So they got that wrong, and I think Dan McFarlane had every right to be really frustrated and angry with that decision. And if it comes down to a situation where they miss out on the top 2, which will give them home quarter and possibly home semi if they win that, it'll be very, very significant, because I think they should have won that game and could have won that game. Now they play the Bulls next Saturday, which is probably a different proposition as regards the physicality, the altitude, and all that stuff. So it'll be that was a game they should have won.
All right, we'll leave it there for today. Quinny, good stuff. Thanks a million. Cheers.
Cheers.
Alan Quinlan giving us his thoughts there. You can hear more on his thoughts on Munster on the Red 78 podcast. It's our weekly Munster podcast brought to you from the Rugby channel. OTB AM is live each morning, brought to you by Gillette Labs for an effortless finish to your day.